today, coming at you with a layout using the Cocoa Daisy June 2022 collection. It's called Koi Pond, but today I'm going to be pulling in some papers from the September collection, and I forgot what it was called. I don't remember, but I'm pulling in some from the September collection because they match really well, and I want to use this, specifically this Polaroid paper, because I've cut my photos into Polaroid, so I want to use these together. I also have this Sushi Love paper that I made with the stamps from the collection. There is a reel on my Instagram that shows me making this with some tips on how to do it yourself, so I'm going to be incorporating that as well because we are eating sushi in these photos for my oldest 18th birthday. So yeah, that's where I'm going to start. Let's go. All right, so I already knew sort of what I wanted to use. I'd pulled it out, and I thought that I was going to use a Sushi Love paper as a full paper, but I decided pretty quickly that it's a little overwhelming as a full paper, especially with this Polaroid paper that I wanted to use as well. So I wanted to divide this spread with the large tags from the Koi Pond collection, and so of course, the tags are not double-sided, so I needed something for the back, and that's where the sushi paper came in. I needed to decide what order I wanted them in. I didn't want the sushi paper next to the Polaroid paper because they were both, fairly white and had a lot of the same, not the same pattern, but like a lot of pattern in monotone sort of colors going on. So I wanted to separate them. I was okay with them sitting on top of each other. So I'm going to adhere it to the back of this tag, but I'm going to use this adhesive strip from Citrus Twist first in between the two layers so that the tag has holes that I don't have to punch through the tag itself, so it'll sit right in the rings of the album without me having to punch holes. I generally don't mind punching holes. I punch holes in all my layouts, except these tags are sort of thin, and I didn't want to take up too much space with the holes in the hole punch. Plus, it's really easy to get off center vertically when I'm trying to punch holes in these tags, so I just didn't bother. So I'm going to pretty quickly decide that I want to cut everything into Polaroid shape. I was going to back these photos with the pattern journal cards, but I decided pretty quickly that I wanted to instead make everything Polaroids. So I cut down the journal card into a square, and then I backed it on a 3x4 patterned card, trimmed the bottom to sort of match the dimensions of the Polaroid photos a little bit better, and then I did the same with an actual journal card for my journaling. So the journal card that I used, it is red like the tag, so I like the way that they go together. They're the same fonts, they're the same color, so when it's put together, it's going to say, "Moments like these make my heart happy," and then when you flip the page, it's going to say, "Because when you look around, this life is pretty amazing." So I like how it all kind of goes together. It's two separate thoughts, but together they make one big thought, so that kind of made me happy. I'm going to angle all of the Polaroids like they are hanging on string, even the ones on the other side that don't have the string in the background, because I like the way that they arc across the page, and it gives me an easy setup for both sides of the page. And then when you look at them together, they make sense, even though the one on the left hand side doesn't have that pattern in the background too. So I really wanted to make sure that I could incorporate the pattern into the layout and not just have the layout sit on top of that pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling out some embellishments and some die cuts, things like that, that can go with this page. So I've pulled out some of the embellishments, and I'm not quite sure what I want yet, so I'm starting with the words. And I knew that I wanted some of these word strips incorporated into the design, so I'm just kind of setting them there and nesting them together. Still not quite decided yet though, so we're just gonna play around with the icons, and I find these paper lanterns pretty immediately, and of course they're going to get quote unquote hung from the strings in the background. And that incorporates the two motifs together pretty well. So I did that with the Polaroids coming out from the paper and being used in my design, and then I took the lanterns from the Koi Pond collection and incorporated them into the Polaroid paper to incorporate that motif into the background too. So it's kind of really subtle once I get them down. It doesn't look like embellishment so much as part of the design of the paper. So I really liked the way that those brought the two collections together really well. So I put down the ampersand, and then I'm going to put down these two word strips because I know where I want them to go. And then I'm going to start working on the other side. I'm having a little bit more, not a struggle, but just a little bit more. It doesn't come together as easily, the left-hand side, just because it's not so plain in the motifs because it's a striped paper. So I'm going to take these rub-ons and I'm going to incorporate them into the striped paper too, to give it a little bit more whimsy like the other side has. Also, this journal card was weirdly offset and off-center, so I use these little rub-ons to sort of fill in those weird blanks that were bothering me. And then of course we are still incorporating the motifs and themes that match, you know, the decor of the place that we're at as well, so that worked out well. I cut this rub-on in half so I could use it in two different places to bring both sides together. I'm going to put it under here so that it's framing both directions. Then I'll put down some of the flowers in the collection. There's only a few, and I'm going to use all three, but I am going to move that one that I just put down in just a second. I'm just kind of trying to make sure that everything is sort of mirrored across the page. Not perfect, it's not symmetrical, but you know, the motifs and the icons are sort of mirrored across the page and working together. I added the HBD, which is Happy Birthday, from die cut alpha in the collections. All right, now I need to start working on my tags. I pull out this peppermint scrub because I felt like it was going to match the red in the alphabet, or not the alphabet, the cards. But then when I start punching out this Doodles and Dashes paper from September, I went with the orange floral, and I didn't want to use red on top of the orange floral, so I pull out this green tea instead, which is fine because I'm pulling in some of the green from the stripy paper that didn't really make it into the rest of the spread. I stamped 18 because that's what birthday we were celebrating, sob. And then I initially wanted to have this bamboo piece placed behind this number, but when I put it down, it stuck out the top weirdly high. Just for the composition itself. It would have been fine maybe in a different way, but it was just sticking out really high on this tag, and I'll pull it down in just a second. So I thought maybe sticking one out the bottom would help, or framing the 18 with the little sprigs of bamboo or whatever these are. So I pull off the backing and I put the sprigs down, framing the 18, and I like that better than I like the bamboo sticking out the top, but I definitely don't like the two together. So I start pulling the bamboo up and it starts ripping the background. So then I was like, well, I'm going to take these off instead. But then I really don't like the bamboo, so I just go with it. I try to minimize the damage as much as possible, and I'm going to have to go with a sort of plan B. So then I stick down the 18 where the rip is, and I don't like how high it's sitting. I want it centered on the tag. So after I put these little sprigs back, I'm going to lower it back down to the middle, but then I gotta cover up the messed up stamping underneath. So I'm going to punch out 2 more circles for top and bottom, and I initially punched them out the same size, and then I decided, no, let's do a 1/2 inch smaller instead. So I'm gonna go with this 1 1/2 inch punch and make them smaller. And then I didn't really like the way that they were just hanging out there and had nothing to do with the design, it would have been fine, but I didn't really love it. So I'm going to punch out 1-inch circles with these little sushi guys on them in the matching green, and so that way it brings up the sushi from the background into the foreground as well, makes it more part of the design. So I had run out of paper, so I have to find some more white paper to stamp on. I'm going to do that here. And then, let's see, I think I do something else. We'll find out together. Not really too much though. This is definitely getting close to done. I like the way that the tag is coming out now. And then I decide to go ahead and go with the bamboo and make it sort of pop out the top and sides of the 2 smaller circles. So I trim it up and I stick it down top and bottom on these circles, and then I call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There is a link to Coco Daisy in the description box below, and I will see you next time. All right, thank you.